to the property to meet Biscuit, who is showing some really intense kind of territorial stuff with his crate. Here's a quick example of what the crate behavior looks like. It's not super serious. And this is this kind of issue that if it is what I think it is, will go away with time and with biological fulfillment, just kind of changing the emotional state and also showing him that I'm not scared and no one who is going to be handling him is scared of him. Whatever result that he's expecting is not going to happen. And creating those prediction errors for the dog so that way we can change kind of his expectation of what he thinks is going to happen. As far as going into these cases, if you're like someone who wants to foster dogs from a training aspect, I think that it's very, very valuable to realize when a dog is making a threat out of insecurity versus writing a check that he will cash. You know, like there are times where dogs just want to come off as this big scary thing and they really mean it. I do have to get some information about the previous adopter who apparently got bit and went to the ER. I need to figure out what the context was there, and then I know that he got adopted to someone who essentially I don't think that they did enough management stuff going into things, and again, management should always be faded out in the long term. What I mean by management is prevention. Like there's a time frame, there's a place for that, but a lot of trainers don't believe that rehabilitation is possible, so they just have the owner prevent forever, and then you have a ticking time bomb on your hands, which is stupid. It is possible to rehabilitate these dogs because I've seen it before 1,000 times, maybe 300 times, where it's not actually an issue, but because the owner is making this huge fucking deal about it, it gets worse, and now they're projecting, and it's like, yeah, you kind of created this, and that's okay. Like it's very normal. Our natural inclination is to think that any aggression that we see coming out of a dog is negative, and that's not necessarily true. It's a sign, right? It's an indicator. It's a signpost of how is he trying to use aggression as a neutral tool to make himself feel a certain way. And I want to see how the dog is using his aggression. And I also want to show him how to play effectively with a toy, because that's another one of the things that he's been possessive territorial over is his crate, food, toys, etc. So that's at least what I've been told. And as you know, there are things that clients will say and I come out and I find it not to be true, or not to be entirely true. There's a contextual difference between the two things. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just go in without the bite suit or anything. I'll bring the gloves, but I probably won't wear the gloves at first, and I'll just kind of sync up with Mandy and see how everything's going. And then when it comes down to actually handling the dog, I'm probably going to start off with a toy in my hand and literally just taking him out into an open area, either with a long leash or in a fence, and just letting him talk around a little bit and then letting him push energy into me through play. This is a video of his reactivity with the kennel previously, and it looked pretty serious. It looks really gnarly, but in the long run, this is something that can definitely be addressed by giving him the biological fulfillment that he needs, and ultimately not showing him that he's gonna get what he's looking for from this crazy behavior. Spoiler alert, that's literally exactly what happened, but keep watching. So as usual, I forgot to start recording as soon as I walked in, but he had this huge drape over his crate and a massive gate with another drape over that. So I removed those while he was absolutely losing his ever-loving mind, and literally just from continuing to work and continuing to do the things and not doing anything at all, he just chilled out. So I went and got my gloves and a toy and decided that we were going to start off with some play. And so I grabbed my gloves just in case and a slip lead and decided to get to work. Okay, so you're probably thinking at this point, he seems pretty innocent, and that's exactly what I thought. I ended up taking off these gloves eventually because I didn't need them, but it was cold outside, so I was thinking if I hurt my hands when it's cold, it's gonna be super painful. So I left them on for a second. I think he actually really liked the way that they felt too. So we did a little possession game, and he decided to go back into his crate with the toy and kind of have like a little retreat from me for a second to turn off some social pressure. But I don't think he needed it. I think he's a great dog. I literally think that this is just a behavior that he's rehearsed, that he's gotten something out of, and he had a lot of fun. We ended up playing tug immediately. He is not an insecure dog. Like, he's really not. This is not fear. He likes the way he feels whenever he barks and it scares someone away. So I started playing the possession game a little bit. I just wanted to kind of peek in there and see what he was going to do. But you see, he dropped the toy and he started to sort of play the game a little bit. So I believe what I decided to do at this point was just to make it very clear to him exactly what was going to happen. And I decided to let him just kind of chill in the crate with his little toy. So as I closed this door, my goal was literally just to let him enjoy that toy for just a second and have him be able to enjoy that on his own without any correction. Now, he did growl at me there, just so you know. It wasn't super huge. It wasn't something that needed corrected. It's just literally letting him realize that this is going to be a different scenario. Things are going to be different from this point on. So Mandy had some volunteers here today, so she had to deal with some stuff, and she finally got to come over for a second and just realize, like, he's literally just chilling and we're hanging out outside his crate. He's not losing his mind. He's not growling. He's not barking. He's not trying to push us away. He sees both of us kind of communing together, and I was getting some details on how social he was with everyone, and he did absolutely incredible. I got permission from Mandy to just go ahead and open his crate and let him out here because he was super chill with everybody before, and he did awesome. He literally had like the absolute best time. He went around and said hi to Trinity. He tried to steal a couple of bagels. She was able to like push him off, which is a huge deal. It didn't create any conflict or distress or anything like that. All the dogs are losing their shit at him and he didn't even care. He's walking past some volunteers there. Literally, he just wants to go outside and play. So that's exactly what we did. Some brand new people. He's very, very social, very people friendly. And I think he's probably super dog friendly as well. So obviously for the first couple of minutes, I let him just kind of blast some energy out. They have an awesome little play yard set up here. So I decided to let him go to the bathroom. So I'm going to actually fast forward this part so that you can get to the good part. So right here, we actually start playing a little possession games, and I start kind of dragging the toy along the ground there a little bit and getting his interest peaked a little bit. And I always start off with a little bit of curiosity and then some frustration and then possession, and it happens in a very quick succession here. He immediately played pretty good tug with me, pretty coherent, and then I eventually let him steal it from me. The problem was, as soon as he steals it from me right here, I clap, and he does not like the sound of the clap, and he like ran away. So I brought him back in again. We tried to play a little bit more tug, but it turned out he really just wanted to be with me. Like, he wanted to have that physical touch. He wanted to kind of wrestle a little bit. So after a couple more seconds of that, he got disinterested, and then he followed me around a little bit. I very slyly slipped the slip lead on him. He tried to pull away. I'm too good at it, so I got him. Anyway, so I walked him over to the little rubber mat so that we could do some pressure work. Whenever I'm doing pressure work with dogs like this, it's really just to see like what can they handle. I tried a little bit more play as well. But it's ultimately about, does he understand that pressure up means to sit? Or does he try to fight it? Does he go up the leash? I'm kind of testing him out at this point. And the reason for that, look at that. So he started to bite the leash, so I made it dead. He started to try to play with the leash as a toy, and I just stood on it. I asked him for a sit right here, and begrudgingly, with a little bit of time, he gave me a little sit, which was nice. And then I threw the toy away without giving him the release, or by giving him the release word. And he kind of went and got it. It wasn't super amazing, but anyway. And then he gave me a little sit here with some pressure. I just wanted to demonstrate that he doesn't he's a cool dog. Like, he doesn't try to go up the leash with you or anything. This is where I actually threw it without a release word. And when he got up, I told him no. I turned on pressure and he went back into the sit again. And I was like, this is going to be so easy. He's just a cool dog. Like, I genuinely really liked hanging out with him, and I loved the energy that I was feeling from him. I never felt that my life was in danger or anything like that. I decided to go inside and grab a jacket because it got super cold, and we decided to go ahead and grab a long leash, and we're going to go on an adventure. Again, this whole process is really an evaluation. Yes, I'm teaching him some things, but I'm trying to figure out, does he freak out when you put something on his collar? Does he freak out when you stare at him from over his head? Does he freak out when you try to mess with the leash? And no, he didn't. He didn't do any of that. He was very happy to be on the long leash. He was very happy to go essentially explore. And luckily we had a really nice space here up at the top of the hill that we were able to kind of give him some energy to just be free a little bit, to go explore. You notice that a couple times I popped the leash or let him hit the end of the leash pretty hard so that he can learn how to behave on that long leash. And I honestly think that short leashes in society are way too overused. I think that if you have the freedom, or if you have the room to give the dog freedom, that's always going to be better. It's going to teach the dog how to move within space. Very easy. Probably one of the easier dogs that I've worked with. Like, literally the only aggression that he's shown toward me at all up to this point has been when I first walked in and I took all of the stuff off of his kennel and he immediately stopped. He was like, don't need it anymore. They got construction up here, so I don't want to fuck with anything. But I'm gonna just leave this over here. Don't want to put it on their fresh grass. Okay. Gonna let him explore. So again, during freedom, I really don't interrupt a whole lot of what the dog is doing unless they fully charge to like the end of the leash. I don't want to get drug. But essentially here, the role was to kind of show him that you can just do whatever you want to. There's not really a whole lot of rules. He even met Mandy's husband, Greg, who was in the shop, and I had him come out. He literally treated him like he had known him for years. It was awesome. And Greg was like, okay, am I done? And I was like, yeah, you're good. And he did such an awesome job. And Mandy came over and talked to me for a little bit about kind of some of the history stuff, and just saw him as the dog that he really was, who she knew this. She knew this to be the case, that he's a really solid dog. You see me slapping him on the ass, pounding him on the ribs, touching his feet, touching his ears. I called Mandy over. I was going to see if she could have someone come over. We ended up talking for a good long while. He ran to the end of the leash. I had said no. He got a nice big correction, and I told him to get his ass back over there to me. He came running and decided that he was safer just close to me. So ultimately, the reason that the long leash teaches such a good heel, or at least such a good like loose leash walk, is because there's a pretty big penalty from forging ahead and trying to get away from me. So anyway, Mandy had said that he wasn't super great in the car. So I said, you know what, let's go take a car ride really quick. I have my bite suit in the back, so I'll just let him lay on that. Usually I do not do this. I 100% of the time always crate dogs, but for the purposes of training and evaluation, I wanted to make sure that I was being very thorough. So I took a second to get my gloves and toss them inside the car. And then I opened up the back, and he was very, very happy to hop in there. You could tell that he's acting kind of like he's my dog already, just based off of the very short amount of time that he had known me up to that point, which was literally like half an hour. All right, so supposedly he does not like riding in the car and gets aggressive, but it may just be proximity thing. So, here, test it out. I have food in here. It's just hanging out. You ready? Let's go. You want me to roll down the windows a little bit? Good boy. So pretty quickly I realized that he didn't have a huge issue with being in the car as itself. I even opened the moonroof and he actually ended up really liking it. He stuck his head out there for several minutes. I got lots of hair in my car. Don't worry, Maria, I already cleaned my car out. No, that's not me crying. My eyes were just sweating. He ended up leaning on me for most of the time and sticking his head out the top window. He actually really enjoyed all of the scents and smells and sounds of just being in the car. So I decided, let's make him a little bit more stressed and see if he still stays super predictable. So I closed all the windows, I closed the moonroof. I took my seatbelt off because I was actually gonna get out and try to get back in again, and then just decided against it. As soon as it was closed, I decided to just put the seatbelt back on again and just keep going. You wanna sit?
He was
It'll help.
chilling out with me in the front seat in pretty close proximity. And to amp up the distractions a little bit, I just started grabbing things from underneath him. He had zero issue with that. They were my leather gloves there. Had zero issue with that. I started patting him on the booty. I asked him if he wanted to sit or lay down. He did absolutely fantastic. So as far as just general aggression from being in the car, I absolutely saw nothing.
Well, what the ultimate test will be is when we get back to the property and the dogs are all barking and stuff and he's got some arousal under his belt. There's people walking outside and stuff, maybe barrier aggression, barrier reactivity, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what to call it.
And again, when I got back to the property, he had absolutely no issues. He heard the dogs barking, I grabbed his leash, and we got out of there. Overall, I walked him back into his kennel, and that's when he did this. It was 100% predictable. It was 100% undoable, and you watched with just a couple seconds. I just weighed him out for a second and literally just walked away. It didn't end up becoming, as soon as he de-escalates here, I literally just walk off. And I'm like, what are you doing? It was good.
From what I can tell, this is a dog that can be not only rehabilitated, but that can go to a home that may not know all the things about dog training or dog behavior, but they can trust and have faith that this is a fake thing. This is a dog that can change, you know? I would like to see how he acts in different scenarios with kids and things like that, but I'm gonna try to come out here 2 or 3 times this week and work with him and potentially even take him out in public if possible and just see how good we can get him with strangers, and from there try to have strangers kennel him up and take him out. And then at that point I would have do some training with the actual staff that are dealing with him at the facility, because they are the #1 line of defense for this kind of behavior, because their reactions to it are what tells him to do it. So I have to make sure that he understands, like, these people who are dealing with you on a day-to-day basis, they're not scared of you, and they understand where this bullshit is coming from, and they understand that it's not true. A lot of where this stuff comes from is people's fear and thinking that whatever is happening inside the crate is actually real, and it makes it worse. There is a protocol that I'm going to institute starting today where we're going to do freedom and play with this dog, and I'm going to give him the ability to just kind of be crazy, be a dog, take him out on the long leash, give him an opportunity to fulfill out in nature, and I don't think he's going to do anything to me. And I'll let you guys see what's real and what's not real. I'll let you see what's the solution and what's not the solution.